One of the things growers will be thinking about before sowing canola this year will be whether it's time to go with a new variety. Resistant cultivars are the main tool growers have to manage canola's major disease problem, blackleg. However, a national project has developed a set of management strategies for blackleg in canola to help growers minimise losses and improve profitability.
Canola in flower throws a striking blanket of colour across the landscape. When that yellow flower disappears, a green canopy of valuable seed pods remains. However, beneath that canopy, problems can stir, problems that can threaten grower returns. And the most serious is a highly virulent fungal pathogen.
Yeah, look, blackleg is very, very severe in Australia. Blackleg's a worldwide disease. Basically, wherever you grow canola, you're going to get blackleg. However, in Australia, it has proved to be far more severe.
Blackleg attacks canola crops by releasing spores that target the plant's vascular system, causing stem canker and eventual plant death. The spores survive in the previous year's crop stubble. It's particularly prevalent in high rainfall areas, with some of Australia's worst affected regions including South Australia's Lower Eyre Peninsula and the Western District of Victoria. Chris Brain has been farming in the Western District for 40 years. He still clearly recalls the effects of the disease on early rapeseed crops, as canola was known at that time.
When rapeseed came along in the 1970s, it was a bit of a revolution in the change of the rotation. And that went on for 3 or 4 years, 2.5 tonne a hectare, and then blackleg came through and basically decimated all the crops through the Western District and right through Australia.
30 years later, blackleg still impacts on Chris Brain's cropping. However, like many in the area, he continues to grow canola because it provides an excellent break between cereal crops.
A typical rotation in this environment is canola and then 2 years of wheat or a wheat and barley crop followed by canola again. So it's an important phase in the rotation to get weed levels down and to get control over disease.
Resistant cultivars are the main tool growers have to manage blackleg, but its virulent nature allows it to adapt and change, which means that every few years the disease pressure starts to reduce crop yields.
What we're seeing this year, it's been wet. The blackleg is the worst it's ever been in the area, apart from going back to the bad old days when we had very sensitive varieties, but in current times it's the worst we've ever seen. And the effect on yield can be massive. It appears at this stage with high blackleg levels we could be reducing yield by half. And that could be certainly avoided with the selection of a variety that's got good blackleg resistance and combine that with some chemical treatments to keep the disease low.
While disease management practices and chemical treatments are well understood, more information about the genetics of resistant varieties is what canola growers now need to maintain profitability, according to Philip Hawker.
The real deficiency of information at the moment is the varietal or the genetic makeup of the blackleg resistance in the plants. So without good information, we might change the variety, but it might not actually be generating better blackleg resistance for us.
Over the past few years, consultant plant pathologist Steve Marcroft has been working on a GRDC-funded project to better understand the nature of blackleg and how best to manage it. It's a crucial task, given Australian canola growers are the hardest hit by this fungal disease.
When we grow most cultivars from overseas in Australia, we generally get complete plant death. They just do not have the resistance to actually just import them into Australia. And most of the breeding work in canola in Australia is to try to get blackleg resistance into the crops.
While the use of resistant varieties has helped reduce blackleg's impact, growers still need to constantly monitor their canola, says Steve Marcroft.
So when you're looking at your crop, if you actually bend down below the canopy and look for dead plants or plants which have lodged, it's a pretty good indication of how much disease there might be.
Down the road from Chris Brain's farm at a canola trial plot, there are some graphic comparisons of resistant varieties.
You can see here that the breeders are actually producing new cultivars with very, very good resistance. If we looked at this line, there's no dead plants, it's standing up extremely well to this level of disease. If we look at some of these other cultivars, which would be very good in some other regions, under this level of disease, this cultivar, for instance, isn't good enough. If we look through it, there's dead plants right the way through it, and the yield potential just certainly is not there compared to the previous plot.
As part of the project, Steve Marcroft has been working on new management strategies for the control of blackleg, with the hopes of improving grower understanding of the disease. This includes the development of a risk assessment tool to assist growers in determining their blackleg susceptibility.
So what we as an industry have done is we've come up with what we've called the Blackleg risk assessor to try and actually put in one form all the things that a grower needs to know to actually control blackleg.
To achieve the best possible results for their area, Steve Marcroft advises growers to use the risk assessor in conjunction with the National Blackleg Ratings, a system which rates blackleg resistance of canola cultivars according to regional conditions. Molecular research is also being conducted in the hope of predicting which cultivars may be susceptible to the disease. This research monitors pathogen populations in an attempt to predict which cultivars are susceptible to attack.
So for instance, if a cultivar has a gene X in it and there's in the pathogen population, it might only be a small proportion of spores that can attack that gene, and over a number of years we might see that increasing, and then we can put out a warning to growers that that's occurring before they actually lose yield in the paddock.
For canola growers, one thing is certain: blackleg will continue to be a priority in their disease management for some time yet. But with the work being undertaken by Steve Marcroft and his team, the outlook is much brighter for growers in areas such as Victoria's Western District, and ultimately for the industry as a whole.
Here in WA, the blackleg research has been significantly stepped up, and you'll find links to information on all of GRDC's blackleg projects on our webpage.